Hello everybody, my name is KingStix and today I have a special video for you guys. Many of you have been asking this for several seasons now and I'm very pleased to say I've been working on my Kha'Zix and now I feel confident enough to put out a Kha'Zix build and rune guide for you. I'm going to be going over the best builds and runes you can take on Kha'Zix and when and where to take them. So overall, Kha'Zix is a fairly strong jungle pick. He demolishes lower elo because people are spread out and don't group properly. Even in a higher elo, if you're good with using your ultimate and resetting your passive, you can still make pretty good use of him. He does have a fairly high skill cap, but once you get to the hang of him, you'll be having a lot of fun and putting out loads of damage and carrying many games. Let's go ahead and go over Kha'Zix's runes first. For his runes, for your main tree, always go Domination. You really need this extra burst. There's really no other tree that can give him this same burst and kill potential. Take Electrocute for the huge burst, Sudden Impact, also burst, Eyeball Collection, even more burst, and Relentless Hunter. Relentless Hunter is really important because Kha'Zix relies on ending the games before 35-minute mark typically, and he needs to be as quick as possible to touch as many lanes as possible and have as much chase down as possible. You can go Ravenous Hunter instead of Relentless Hunter. You're going to be facing a huge trade-off with your movement speed for a little bit of healing in a team fight or a 1v1. If you do go with Ravenous Hunter, make sure you pick up a Boots of Mobility. It's going to make up for the fact that you don't have Relentless Hunter and it will help get you around the map in a timely manner. For your Precision tree, take Coup de Grace. You need that extra burst, and Triumph, it's going to help you snowball even faster and harder, plus it's going to help keep you alive in a team fight. Whenever you get a kill or assist, you're going to be getting back a decent chunk of HP, making you even more slippery and difficult to kill in a team fight. If you are newer to Kha'Zix or if you're not smurfing, overall this is going to be your strongest page. It's by far the safest. Electrocute damage is much safer than Dark Harvest damage. Same thing with Precision. The Precision damage is going to be a lot safer than taking Sorcery. If you are smurfing on Kha'Zix or if you're one of the best junglers in your region, going for Dark Harvest will definitely serve you better in the late game because of its scaling damage. Like I said though, if you are new to jungle Kha'Zix, or if you're not smurfing, I really don't recommend taking Dark Harvest because it's going to make it a lot harder on you in the early and mid game. One rune page that I would highly suggest you guys staying away from is running Sorcery for your secondary tree. It used to be a lot more common towards the beginning and middle of preseason 8, but now that the Sorcery tree has been nerfed in several areas, it's not quite worth it. You'd be a lot better off going for the Precision tree for your secondary tree instead. Kha'Zix level order is fairly simple. Start Q, then take your W, then E, then max Q, W, E. Very simple. Now, whenever you do reach level 6, 11, and 16, you're going to want to make sure to evolve the right ability. On your first evolution at level 6, make sure you evolve Kha'Zix's ultimate. This is very important. That way, whenever you go into a bush, whenever you're out of combat, you'll get loads of invisibility. This will make you move very quickly around the map. It'll also make you very difficult for enemies to see, catch, and predict. On your second evolution at level 11, if you are ahead, I'd highly recommend going for a level up on your E, which is your jump. This way you can jump on a squishy, Q, auto them, W, and one-shot them, then you can jump to the next person. But if you aren't ahead at level 11, then I'd recommend going for your Q. That way you can just get some more damage in general. And then for your final level up, it just depends on the situation. Typically for my final evolution at level 16, if the enemy has a really thick front line, a lot of melee characters, I will evolve my W to give me some more AoE and slows. If the enemy team is fairly squishy and they don't really have a front line, for my level 16 evolution, I'll go ahead and evolve my Q for that extra damage. That way I can get resets on my E and keep jumping around and killing everything in the team fight. Like I said though, if you're not ahead at level 11, don't upgrade your E into the double jump because it's not going to be doing you much good since you won't really be able to one-shot any targets. For your starting items on Kha'Zix, you're always going to want to take Hunter's Talisman and Refillable Potion. This is a lot better than taking Machete because Kha'Zix's W is AoE, so whenever you hit a camp with it, it's going to apply the burn effect of the Talisman onto all of the monsters and the healing effect that you receive with it as well. So overall, the Talisman will keep you much healthier in the jungle with faster clears on multiple target camps than you would get out of a Hunter's Machete. 9 times out of 10, you're first back on Kha'Zix, you should get your Skirmisher's Saber and then Boots of Speed. This will give you the most mobility and damage if you're ahead already or you're smurfing. Building Poacher's Dirk instead of going directly for your Skirmisher's Saber can actually be a lot stronger, especially if the enemy mid laner is getting shoved in and the enemy top laner is getting shoved in. This will give you an opportunity to counter jungle and get your items much faster. This works out extremely well since Kha'Zix is naturally such a good counter jungler with this high damage and mobility. If you do go for the Poacher's Dirk, make sure you rush Duskblade instead of going for your Warrior first. That is very important. You're going to put your build path in a weird situation if you go for the Dirk and then try to finish your warrior before you go for Duskblade. After you have your skirmisher sabers, boots, I highly recommend going straight for Duskblade instead of finishing your warrior. The synergy between your Duskblade and your ultimate is ridiculous. Every time you go invisible, it will reset your Duskblade since none of the enemies see you, and you'll get off some ridiculous damage. After you finish getting your Duskblade, you need to finish your warrior. This will give you a lot of extra burst, 10% CDR, and at that point, it's really great to go for a Youmuu's Ghostblade. This will give you even more lethality, more damage, more mobility, everything that Kha'Zix really needs. Overall, this is your core. Your items don't really change that much off of this right here. Now that you've completed your core items, you should pick up your tier 2 boots. Up until now, you've gotten away with not building tier 2 boots because of Kha'Zix's natural speed, also because we took Relentless Hunter. Relentless Hunter is giving us a lot of passive movement speed. Consider going for Ninja Tabbies if the enemy team has a lot of auto attack based champions and if the enemy jungler is auto attack based. If the enemy team is comprised of almost all squishies, you should pick up Boots of Mobility. It's going to give you a lot of extra speed, help you out in team fights before you actually go in, and just general moving around the map. Now, if the enemy team has a fairly strong front line, a lot of hardcore CC, stuff like Malzahar, Fiddlesticks, you should really go for Merc Trez. If they hit you with 1 CC and start focusing you, you're going to die instantly, so you want to get out of that CC as fast as possible. With all the lethality items that we are building, there's really no point in taking Boots of Lucidity. That extra CDR is just going to go to waste. And of course, Sork Shoes. Kha'Zix doesn't do any magic damage really, so there's no point taking those either. Kha'Zix has quite a bit of optional items, at least when it comes to damage, and a few overall bruisey items as well. The first one is Black Cleaver. If the enemy team is very tanky and your team doesn't really have a tank, you're going to have to go more Bruiser Kha'Zix. So instead of going straight for Duskblade, you'd go from Warrior into Black Cleaver. This is going to set your damage back a little bit, but overall, if your team doesn't have a single tank, you're going to be glad that you have it. The second one is Maw of Mortius. Maw of Mortius is great for when the enemy team is squishy and high AP, stuff like Fizz, Malzahar, Rumble, that kind of stuff. It'll help keep you alive in extended fights and short burst trades. If the enemy team is primarily AD and high bursty, I do like to go for a Guardian Angel. It helps keep me alive and also gives me extra attack damage, with which Kha'Zix desperately needs. The fourth item is Ravenous Hydra. I don't usually go team mat on Kha'Zix, but there's a lot of Kha'Zix mains who do. They like to couple it into their combos. I've recently started trying it and I like it a lot. It's just overall a neutral item. Whether the enemy is tanky or squishy, it works out pretty well either way. The fifth item is Death's Dance. This is really nice, especially when the enemy team doesn't have too much burst and they're overall just more tanky. It'll give you loads of healing, keep you alive in a fight, and you're going to be glad you bought it. It's especially good whenever a tank has a Thorn Mail and you try to cut into them. You're going to kill yourself without any life still. The sixth item is Lord Dominic's Regard. This is really good whenever the enemy team just keeps stacking armor and stacking and stacking. The seventh item is Mortal Reminder. This is good whenever the enemies keep stacking armor and they have 2 or more healing champions. Things like Soraka, Swain, Vladimir, Sona, things like that. When you buy this, you'll be able to cut down through their healing and really make them suffer. If the enemy team only has one person on the team who has healing and it's self-healing like Amundo or Vladimir, I don't usually go for it because I feel like I can burst them down. But if it's someone like Soraka and they only have one healer but it's someone who can heal multiple teammates, I will usually get it, because if I'm trying to burst someone down and Soraka presses W and ult, they're already back to full HP. So if I jump on them, do my burst, and she does her stuff, she won't be able to keep them alive because I'll be doing too much damage. The eighth item is Dead Man's Plate. I only go for Dead Man's Plate if the enemy team has quite a bit of damage. They're mostly AD and my team doesn't have a proper tank. It helps to keep you alive in a fight, gives you a little bit extra damage off of its passive and a little bit extra movement speed, which is very nice on Kha'Zix. A plus side on Dead Man's Plate is it gives you a little bit extra magic damage, which is nice since Kha'Zix normally does AD. It's hard for enemies to build against it. And the final optional item is Edge of Night. Overall, I avoid building it because it's very expensive and I don't feel like it's that useful. With Kha'Zix's high mobility and invisibility, I feel like he doesn't really need the temporary Banshee's Veil that it provides. If you're using his invisibility properly, you can dodge most things. Same thing with his jump. I just don't feel like it's overall that useful, but if the enemy team does have a lot of magic damage and instant CC characters like Malzahar Fiddlesticks, you can preemptively activate it before you go into a fight. That way whenever you jump out, Q, auto attack, and maybe get off a W, then ulti, they won't have a proper chance to CC you, because even if one of them did get lucky and used it before you went invisible, you would have blocked it with your Edge of Night's Veil. And that is going to wrap up this video. Expect a Kha'Zix jungle commentary guide in the near future. I really do enjoy playing him, and I know he has a lot of potential, and I do want to share that with you guys. If this video helped you out and you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.